All right, peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Now, in today's video, I want to read through this incredible article that Brother Uwais over at Endgame Islam found, and I was watching his video. Let me pull it up for you. Endgame Islam. Okay, let me do it here. Endgame Islam. This video, and I highly recommend you watch it. But the video for me was so enlightening because he was reading through the article and giving it his own commentary that I just had to make my own spin, my own version on the video. Let me make sure. Am I recording? Yeah. I want to make my own spin, and I should say I want to read through this article myself and give it my own commentary for my audience, the people who largely listen to me, because I think there is many gems to be pocketed within here. The guy within this article, he's emphasizing unified knowledge, a unified holistic theory on the world, and really bringing into perspective what this system is about. And he's not missing the spiritual principle. He's hitting the spiritual principle because many people who seek to call out the New World Order, call out the evil doing system, call out the corruption that we see in society, and just the perverse forces that are in play here, they miss the spiritual point and the unifying of all of these scatter shots of things. So, like, we talk about the 7-Eleven, we talk about the bandy hook. I'm not going to say the full thing. We talk about the C19. We talk about all these things and the machinations and plots of the ruling elite, but most of these online conspiratorial conspiratainment, a lot of it is entertainment as well, shock value content. They miss the spiritual principle behind all of it, and this guy doesn't. Obviously, not everything he says is perfect, but many things he says is in line with the Quran, so it deserves a read through, another one, at least by me. And if you want to watch the original video by Endgame Islam, then you can check it out here. Was it a live stream? No, it was right here. Religion and Ritual, a perfect minefield of control. So this guy talks about religions and how they work to stifle human thought and to, I should say, bludgeon your spirit down and bring it down when really all you need is direct access to the creator. So the article, it's on windowsontheworld.net/the perfected mind, and we'll just go through it here. So we begin the reading. The perfected mind field, the connection to what is known as the divine, the highest governing authority or intelligence known as God, has many obstacles around it. So this is really what Salah is all about. Salah is connecting to God. It's not necessarily a ritual prayer, but it's building a divine connection with the Almighty through servitude, through prayer, through upholding His commands and remembering Him often, and living your life in taqwa, in prudent fear or vigilance. That's what this article is primarily focused on, connecting with the divine, which is what Salah is all about. So continuing with the reading, the connecting to what is known as a divine, the highest governing authority or intelligence is known as God. It has many obstacles around it. Many obstacles are set in place to stifle your journey to the Almighty, because the ruling elite and Satan, who is behind them, knows that when a man truly connects with the source of all that he is, God Almighty, he is unstoppable, he is powerful, and he cannot be controlled or made into a slave, because he has already made himself a slave to the Almighty, and no man can serve two masters. So that's why they set up these obstacles around God. So we have discussed them at length in our shows on cults, whether it is a cobbled together belief system like Theosophy or a made up control system like Scientology. These take control of a group and keep them away from their direct source. Now, if you read the Quran, God does not at all talk about religion in the traditional sense. Religion in the sense of cultures and cults and groups of people that have identified around these symbols and ideologies and set dogmas in place, and now they're together and led by a priesthood. That's not what the Quran talks about. God teaches us primarily to directly connect with Him. That is what إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ means. It means thee alone do we serve and thee alone do we seek help. That means no religion, no cult, seeking the Creator alone. That is your source of freedom and your strength. That is your way out of tyranny. And that is what Satan and the system are trying to disconnect you from. Because when you are not connected to the divine, you haven't established that rapport with God Almighty, then you are fundamentally broken on the inside. You can't resist anything. Let's see. Let's pull up some religions. World religions. All these groups. Billions and millions and who knows how many people. Billions, if we even believe that number. But all these people around the world, they have attached themselves to man-made systems and forgot the heart of the matter, which is drawing close to our Creator, the divine source. So, continuing on with the reading. Uh, these take control of a group and keep them away from their direct source. All cults and religions do this. The gatekeeping of knowledge within controlled religions like Catholicism keeps the masses away from their own source, their connection to the highest intelligent creator through a priesthood. Now, this is a model we see everywhere. The Sunni priesthood. We see the whole Mufti and Imam model. We see the Catholic priest model. We see the Hindu priest model, the Brahmins, and it's all gatekeeping. And I've talked about this before in different videos that I believe there are righteous people within every religious tradition, but they are righteous in spite of their religion, not necessarily because of their religion. God has placed within those people the righteous Hindu who believes in one God, the righteous Sikh who worships one God and doesn't get into all the guru worship, the righteous Muslim in the Sunni religion who avoids all this idolatry and shirk and this idea that Muhammad is going to intercede for us. Those people, God has placed within them a guidance where they're able to skirt around the obstacles that are put in place within these religions which keep them from the Creator. So these people, they are righteous in spite of their religions, not because of them. Because it's fundamentally designed to keep you dependent on a man-made structure. A priesthood themselves indoctrinated with only a second-hand foundation of knowledge. So again, we're not talking about a direct source to the Creator. We're talking about second-hand, what I've been taught from my father, who's been taught from his father, who's been taught from his father, which has been passed down through the ages. Buddhism, Hinduism, and other religions, and we can say Sunnism, Islam, I should say cultural Islam, not true Quranic Islam, which is directing yourself to God alone. And other religions work in the same way. Judaism cannot be properly defined, in this article, by the way, it's not written too well. The grammar it needs improvement, but even still, you can gather many gems from this. So, Judaism cannot properly be defined even by those who fall under its banner. All under the supervision of the Pharisees or rabbinic cult leaders, or we can say imams or muftis or priests. Same model everywhere around the world, the model of control. The practice of controlling a population by separating them from the Creator and setting yourselves up as the mediator between them and the Creator. I need you. I need this religion. I need the Catholic Church in order to get close to my Creator. That is the oldest and most potent method of control. Again, by separating somebody from the divine source, you have made them your slave because they are not a slave to the Almighty anymore. Well, they are in a grand sense, but they are not willingly a slave to the Almighty. So this is the same in all organized religion. Knowing this can make it easier to circumvent the middlemen and their misleading rules, which disempower the individual when being a part of a collective groupthink or egregor. And egregor, basically, he uses this word to mean a collective of people that are unified around a certain man-made ideology. Groupthink, you can call it the herd mind. The herd, that's what an egregor is. It's a herd. Egregor or herd is an occult concept representing a thought form or collective group mind. It is a non-physical entity that arises from the collective thoughts of a distinct group of people. And this is a psychological phenomenon that has been recorded and documented by psychologists all throughout the 19th and 20th century. People have seen And this is, people like Edward Bernays and the father of public relations, the public relations industry. They know that when people enter into groups, the vast majority, the group itself carries a different psychological tenor and polarity to the individual. The person's individual mind and reasoning, most people at least, not everybody, but most people, their individual mind, their reasoning, their intelligence, their higher order thinking is subsumed and dissolved into the group, which is led usually through base instincts, fear, imagery, and I should say a reptilian nature. All of your individual identity ends up just becoming non-existent, again, for the majority, not for most, not for everybody, but for most people. And that's how it works when the psychology of mobs is different from each individual who is within it. So what could a mob be, or how could I define a mob? A mob is a group of people that are gathered around a specific symbol or idea. So a mob could be the Sunni mob. Let's pull it up. Sunni, angry Muslims, right? This kind of thing right here. All of the individuals within, they've had their higher order reasoning dissolved, or most of these people at least, in order to serve the needs of the group. This kind of thing. We can see this in sports games as well. When a certain team loses a particular match and the people start rioting or getting angry, maybe they think the ref called a foul that wasn't fair, or maybe allowed a goal that wasn't fair, or the ref was not impartial in his governing over the game, then they get angry. This is another group think. This is another form of cultish behavior. And you see all of them have the standard within them that people are operating on a different, I should say, a lower frequency of thought than what they would be if they were on their own. So let's pull up an image of an angry sports mob. This kind of thing. Angry sports mob rioting. This is very common in Pakistan and India in particular. When their favorite team or their country loses a cricket match, you see people, they enter the streets and they start flipping cars and breaking windows and throwing things, throwing bricks. They just go nuts. Yeah, yeah. Pakistani Indians, they have these rivalries, usually just meaningless nonsense, meaningless on so many levels. Because Pakistan as a country doesn't mean anything, and India as a country doesn't mean anything. And now we've taken these meaningless countries and made them get excited over these even less meaningful sports. It's just all nonsense. But yeah, you see the angry sports mob has, or the angry Black Lives Matter mob, or the angry Christian mob. They have the same tenor as the angry Muslim mob. So this is what an egregor is. It's the organism that is formed by people getting together, being guided by base passions. We have covered the collectivizing of all into groups, into something for everyone. This is known as a system of moods. One step further is how bioenergetic principles attract people unconsciously as well as consciously. Those who are susceptible to cults, groupthink, egregors, sports mobs, religious mobs, etc., and attracted to groups which are all below the highest information field, all fall into these biosystems of egregors or collectives. They resonate with the group biodynamic and become captive to it. And there's actually an interesting book you can read which talks about this from more of a secular perspective. What is it called? It's Gustave Le Bon. Gustave Le Bon, The Crowd. A Study of the Popular Mind. When was this written? Published in 1895. So like I said, throughout the 19th and 20th century, and this is really not even, this wasn't found out necessarily only in the 19th and 20th century. This has been, this kind of knowledge that human beings, when they're in large groups and guided by certain symbols, or I should say misguided by certain symbols and passions, that they're easy to control, that their reasoning goes out the window, they become essentially like a dog or an animal. You can lead them through simple images and simple concepts and getting them angry and riling up their passions. This knowledge has been the preserve of ruling elites since the beginning. Even we have the Fir'aun in the Quran. God says that He broke the people up into sects. So he made them into these groups, these mobs, and that's how he would control them. So this has been passed down knowledge from the ancients. But continuing on with the reading. In the long term, this leads to willful arrested development. They may gain some knowledge, but it is within a hierarchy. The priesthoods control the flow of information. Therefore, it is inorganic. Therefore, it is anti-divine and anti-nature. Most people allow themselves to be captured in this way. We covered the work of General Konstantin Petrov's in our show, The Resurrection of Knowledge. The ideas of General Petrov defeat the jumble ideas of the New Age collectivism and its fake rituals through direct information on how energy systems work and so on and so forth. These thoughts have coincided with what the shows are all about, a clear and lucid explanation of how governance on Earth operates. And how governance on Earth operates is cutting off our direct connection with the divine source of who we are and putting us into these man-made mobs. Explained through the global, and we can throw out global, just say international, explained through the international governance system of control by the pseudo self-appointed elite, and also most importantly, how the natural principles of divinity can be reached. This is through the belief in God, the highest creator. We could say one God too. Not the God of the Old Testament or a God represented by some icon or image, but the true natural order which is holistic and interacts with all creation as it is creation. So I don't necessarily agree with all of that, but you get a general idea that God cannot be symbolized or he cannot be characterized by some icon or image. The divine is truly beyond our comprehension. The globalists went against creation in favor of the belief of the system of the fallen angel Lucifer, Samael, the blind god who defied nature and therefore doomed himself. So we can say Iblis. Iblis went against the natural order. The natural order was he needed to lower himself before our father Adam because God created Adam of a higher status, and there's no problem with that. But he didn't lower himself. He went against the natural order of who he is and doomed himself thereby. As the globalists have equated themselves as equal and more controlling than the highest creator, their system is doomed. So that's one thing that Brother Sam has even talked about on his channel. You see how this modern system which is emerging, they're trying to set themselves up as like a replacement to God. They are arrogating to themselves all the qualities which rightfully belong to God, and they can never actually reach the level that God is at. But you see they're trying to monkey, ape, mimic, I should say parody the Almighty. So what are some qualities of the Almighty? Well, the Almighty gives life and the Almighty gives death, right? Now they want to be able to give life and give death. They want to be able to, with this whole IVF and in vitro fertilizations and affecting the process of women's pregnancies and abortions and deciding who lives and deciding who dies and assisted suicides and this and that. Yeah, they want to give life and give death like God does, but they never will. Another thing is God is all-knowing, all-watching. He records everything that goes on. They want to arrogate to themselves these qualities. They set up cameras everywhere. Even right now, I'm sure the camera on my phone and the camera on my computer is spying on me. They hear everything, and they store these things in massive data pits, and then they control you thereby. But they're trying to do what God does. God controls and records all things. They want to control and record all things with this online system that they're making. Another thing is God gives wealth. He expands provision and takes away provision from whom he wills. Now we see this rise of the welfare state and people reliant on all this government money, and they want to push this UBI, universal basic income, welfare for the whole world, this kind of communistic system. They want to give wealth and take wealth just as the Almighty does. They want to alter the creation that God has made. They're trying to alter food, they're trying to alter everything. And we see, just like what this guy is pointing out, that the system is run by Satan, Iblis, Lucifer, the blind god who defied nature, and it's saying that they see themselves as equal and more controlling than the highest creator, so their system is doomed. So continuing on. It cannot work as it goes against the natural order. Therefore, they have aligned themselves with a doomed system. They are degenerating life. This is anti-nature. So we see God gives life, God gives death. The Quran says God is the originator of creation. He repeats it. God originates life. God allows life to grow. He allows it to foster. If we follow his natural order, life will flourish and become the most beautiful thing you can ever imagine. But these people, they are destroying life. They are degenerating everything because, again, they are going against the natural matrix which God has made. They are destroying intelligence and suppressing knowledge which would usurp their global order. As this order is based on subversion of the natural order and consent is enforced through lies, it is unnatural. So one thing you'll see about God, and which is different from this satanic system, is that God gives clear notice about everything. The Quran is ayah mubin, or I think it's a bayina ayat, something like that. It's a bayina ayat, clear ayats, clear signs. God gives warning. He gives notice to people. O my people, serve God, be in prudent fear of him. Will you then not be in prudent fear? That's the model of God. But this system, it operates through lies, deceit, deception, not giving you full disclosure, manufacturing your consent while leaving you ignorant of the full terms of the contract. So they're going against God in that way. Yeah, consent is enforced through lies and it is unnatural. Whereas God, he makes you do what he wants to do, what he wants you to do all the time, and you know what? He lets you know everything clearly. So it is only kept through going through enforcement and manufacturing consent through lies, as in global warming, artificial crisis, and terror. The real goals are always hidden under the lies, which are used to manufacture consent to this control of all and the plundering of the global commons. This show is essentially about the information field. It can be called the unified field, the holistic unifying force of God through nature, and the uninterrupted biofield. Excuse me. Most important is to go to the source of the highest intelligence, and that cannot be done in any church congregation or group. Remember, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Thee alone will we serve, thee alone will we seek help. Not a man-made religion. Go to God alone. That is where you will get the fullest and most potent knowledge possible. It takes time and solitude in peeling away all distractions and layers of lesser intelligences. And to quickly go on a little side note here, you see this whole system is always about distraction, distracting you, wasting your time, recommending you YouTube shorts and Instagram shorts and TikTok shorts. Your time is the most valuable commodity you have by far. There is no comparison. Your time. They're willing to pay big bucks for your time. Look at these advertisers just to get 5 seconds of your time, how much money they're paying to be on that YouTube video so you see their little advertisement, their product. They're trying to suck away your time. And God wants you to devote your time to him and things that are important and meaningful. It's all distraction. Remember, your time. Why are they giving you all these free things like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube? Just because it's free doesn't mean it's good for you. Just like the cheese in the mouse trap is free for a reason, so the mouse can touch it and then he gets snapped. It's meant to ensnare you. They're willing to pay big bucks to keep you distracted all the time. So remember that your time is the most important commodity. Focus in on things that are important. Truly increasing your knowledge, increasing rapport and closeness to the Lord, getting close and taking care of your family and those in your community, doing good deeds, being courageous, being righteous, taking care of your fitness, work out, exercise, eat good food, focus on things that are important because everyone is trying to take your time away from those things that will really benefit you in life and in the hereafter. And they know that. That's why they're coming after you. The channeling of incorrect information, the false deities or lower intelligences that masquerade as the highest governing factor are there to trap the unweary. The term God has become subjective rather than objective reality. This, though, has nothing to do with organized religion or cults. So God has nothing to do with organized religions or cults. You see me when I'm out there street preaching and talking to people, I tell them, I'm not talking about any religion. I'm talking about your creator. And you see people from all backgrounds and walks of life. They're very interested in talking to me and they shake hands with me. We usually leave on a fairly good note. Hindus, Sikhs, Buddhists, Jains, I get Jews, Christians, Muslims, everybody, because I am talking about connecting to God, and that is something everybody knows about deep down. Never have there been more traps than there are now. And I would say, I would agree with that. We are living in a dark age. God says that the people who attain the highest category, the muqarrabeen, those brought close to God, that it'll be a multitude of the former peoples and a few of the latter. And you can watch some of my videos on how civilizations degenerate, why they degenerate in the way they do. Things get worse as time goes on, and God even says that there'll be less people who attain the highest category in his eyes. So this person is right here. Never have there been more traps than there are now. And it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. To quote Brother Sam, he said, however bad and terrible you think things are right now, it's only going to get a lot worse from here. Yeah, thank you, Brother Sam, for that one. It's true. Most have been trapped into groups or cults to some extent. Some have been absorbed completely. The globalist cult of Gaia and climate apocalypse cult are the false major religions, with their priesthood and false prophets under their god, the World Bank and global corporations. This whole thing, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is a religion. You see, they have prophets like people forecasting the future and economists, and oh, we're in this economic bubble and it's going to pop and there's going to be a collapse and global warming and climate change and Bitcoin is going to go big. And you have all these people prognostications, apocalyptic prophecies of the future, or I should say, successful prophecies of the future. Things are going to be great or things are going to be terrible. Doomsday. It's a book of Revelation stuff, but for the secular atheist. It's all the same. Priesthoods and prophets. We will never, ever lose this model. It'll always exist because it's fundamental to mankind's nature. It's just they've applied it to the atheist religion. The word biofield describes how interactive information is sent and received, how the conscious whole of the body, mind, and soul interacts with energy systems that are transmitted and received. So that's one thing you need to understand is that the world we live in, everything is energy, everything is vibrations and frequencies. And this is something the New Age hippie people, they get that right. We don't live in an atomistic world of stacked together particles in space. That doesn't exist. Everything is energy, everything is fields, everything is vibrations. The fundamentals of nature are not measurable, they're not quantifiable. Nature is not quantum at its fundamental level. And we can feel each other. We have more than just our five senses. We can feel each other's vibrations and energy. You can tell when somebody has weird, malicious intentions to you. And yeah, you feel off, but you can't explain it. You're like, why? There's nothing about this person that I'm seeing which is off, but I just feel like something is wrong. Or when people worship idols, they worship statues, they worship Jesus, you just feel like something is not right. That's because we are connected in this pool, this energy system, and we feel the vibrations. God sends it through. This world is in a massive, interconnected, intelligent, holistic system. The eighth, this is, and I'm getting into some higher order philosophy here. Try to stay with me, but the atheist and secularists, they seek to break down knowledge, separate things. It's very atomistic, it's quantum. You have all these different fields of study. Biology is something separate from chemistry, which is something separate from physics, which is separate from something like astronomy. And there's no holistic and unified theory. Whereas the true understanding of the world, it unifies all these concepts: biology, history, philosophy, religion, if you want to use that word. You can say the sciences, astronomy, geology, everything comes together in one holistic theory because the world is fundamentally run under one matrix, one rule, one order from one God. So we seek to unify knowledge in this field, whereas the atheist tries to break things down. That's all he can do. He can't unify anything, he can only break it down and make things more confusing. How the conscious whole of the body, mind, and soul system interacts with energy systems that are transmitted and received. The interaction between two or more of these biofields is known as an egregor. In this presentation, we mean this as a collective mind or collective entity, groupthink. These conductors of information have also been categorized as collective consciousness when used as a term for groupthink. Through the biofield of a person, everything is perceived at once through oscillations. This is how the biofield interacts with information connected to it through the ether, as the Victorians used to call it. The ether is real, ladies and gentlemen. Einstein did not prove the ether, okay? Or not Einstein, sorry. The Michelson-Morley experiment did not disprove the ether. It disproved the idea that the Earth is moving. Ether is good word for the biofield. It has never been bettered as it most adequately describes a unified field of information. And here's the main thing that really blew me away about this article, just the plainness that this man stated, or the plainness through which this man stated this. It's no technology can measure information like the human organism. It is a more complex system than any known to science. Okay? You see people, they're having debates on, are robots really humans? Or actually, do robots have consciousness? Is their consciousness comparable to humans? This guy is going to point out in the article that these people are actually, and I'm not saying this to be insulting, they are retarded. They're lacking some essential spiritual knowledge. If you think that a robot's knowledge, if you want to call it knowledge, and it's not knowledge, that an AI robot is comparable to the holistic human organism, there is something deeply fractured and wrong about you. If you think, even, my wife is saying this right now, if you think that the robot is even comparable to the dog, to the hamster, to the ant, to the single-celled organism, then you are way off. Life is so much more brilliant and intelligent than these cheap man-made satanic imitations that people are making. Let's pull up something. They can never, I'm going to pull up some videos and I'll show you that they can never capture that human essence and quality in the robots. They can never have that because it's not alive. It doesn't have consciousness. It doesn't have inspiration. It doesn't have deliberation. It doesn't know that it's there. Let's pull up AI videos. AI generated videos. I see these pop up all the time.
I created the animated videos on.
Trying to find some AI videos. Okay, this is a human behind it. Let's try like a purely AI generated video. AI generated video. AI, yeah, they can't even create a fly. Yeah, this kind of thing. Okay. With all this AI stuff, you can tell, like this kind of thing, these AI generated videos, there's something off about it. There's something disconnected, disassociated. Like there's no inspirational human mind behind it. It's creepy. It's weird. I can always tell when the videos are made by AI, and that's because, again, technology will always be inferior to humans. Even like, what are some cartoons that I watched growing up as a kid that aren't AI, that were made by people? I used to watch a show called Little Bear. Little Bear intro. So compare what we just saw here, this AI generated video, to this. This is not creepy. This I can see and tell that there's a human mind behind it. It has that spark, if you will. But let's continue with reading the article. Unlike any device or program, the hierarchy of a living creation is complete and continuous. It contains all information within and of itself. Self-monitoring, self-regulating, and continually sentient. Robots do not have sentience. It also interacts continuously on subtle levels using systems unknown to science. Thus, the living human organism as a whole possesses a more subtle and advanced informational structure than the whole of the available technology of science. That is profound. Let's read that again. Thus, the living human organism as a whole possesses a more subtle and advanced informational structure than the whole of available technology of science. I can't get into all this stuff right now, but for a while I was studying deeply into what AI is and how it's made, and you understand that computers are made through these kind of logic gates, and it's all very systematized, structured. A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D, goes to E. It's a very crude system, whereas the human system, all of our information centers, from our body to our cells, if we even believe in that concept, to our eyes, to our mouths, to our brain, to our spirit, to everything, it all interacts with each other simultaneously in every way possible. it's not sequential, it's holistic. It's not A to B to C to D, but rather it's A is connected to B, C, D, E, F, and B is connected to A, C, D, E, F, G. Everything is connected to every portion, and they cannot capture that kind of holistic intelligence in technology. The codes in nature and its frequency ranges are outside the knowledge of scientific classification. So again, we can understand one little thing maybe here and there, but the whole is beyond us, how it operates. This is the whole of the problem with any talk of artificial intelligence or AI systems. They are not comparable to the natural system. They do not function at all like the complex holistic systems of nature. Functioning, programmable biorobots exist. These are primitive and none are sentient by definition. When we look at these robots being displayed, they are ridiculous. As ignorant as those who program them, this is nowhere near the intelligence of the living organism. Even the rose flower is more intelligent and profound than all the most expensive AI robots that human hands have produced, under the instruction of Iblis, of course. Technology is inferior to nature. Man, we should get that on a t-shirt or something. Technology is inferior to nature. It has low sensitivity in all its vectors. It has lower resolution, low ability of discernment and recognition. This is due to the crude technical means of conversion of information. The information can also degrade from carrier to carrier, artificial wombs and egregors. Come about through lack of self-governance, as in direct communication with the source of direct information. Egregors or groupthink bioentities. Egregors or groupthink bioentities come from constructed views which cause resonance within the individual. This comes from attraction to certain beliefs which support already implanted information. The resonance of belief systems attract a person to groups of egregors of thought and belief. And here's another point that I want to touch on here or emphasize. So in modern society, technology takes domination over an ignorant or indoctrinated person, one that is not self-aware. So people who are, and this is something he's going to expand upon, people who are enthralled by technology, they are utterly captivated by it. Oh, these, look at the new, I don't even know what the new iPhone is. iPhone 15, iPhone 16, who even knows? Who cares? But a lot of people apparently do. They're like, look at the new iPhone, and now it's more realistic than ever, and this TV, it brings the most realistic videos, and the surround sound system, and now they're making robots that can reason, that can interact with people. The people who are captivated and absorbed into the technological world, and genuinely intrigued by it. Not like you and me, we use it to get by. I'm using it as a tool to spread knowledge and understanding and information and godliness, but they are genuinely impressed by it. These people are spiritually dead. They're already dead. There's nothing within them. You have to be an uncreative and spiritually disconnected person to be so attracted to created things and so attracted to the works of man and turn away from the beauty and splendor and majesty of the created world of God. There's something deeply broken about a person like that. The modern system of education creates an artificial womb of beliefs. These are merely to channel the information into intended control vectors, natural process of energetic informational exchange flow objectively between the person and the highest creation. This is interrupted. Let's skip through some of this and get to the main points. So, here, this is exactly what I was talking about just right now. So, those not connected to the greater intelligence, those not connected to God, it comes from a spiritual destruction on the inside. Those not connected to the greater intelligence system of God or the highest creator can be trapped, denying themselves access to the direct source of pure information. Continuing on. And yeah, this is known but never admitted by the technocrats in their governing system. So this is something they will never admit. They will never ever admit that their man-made fabrications are nowhere near the splendor and beauty of creation that God has made. They cannot match him. What people do not know is that which is outside their belief system is available to them but an artificial womb, so on and so forth. Done in many ways, not just through technology and media channels. In this instance, it means that we are born with the ability to measure, but our ability to measure is only as effective as our knowledge base and self-awareness. Person try to lessen information, they will become trapped in schemes of technology, computer processing. Yeah, right here. If the person is attracted to lesser information, So lesser things like computers and phones and AI, as opposed to trees and roses and squirrels and dogs and humans. If people are attracted to that kind of thing, they will become trapped in these lower schemes of technology and computer processing, which is of temporary and inferior interest. It's inferior. These systems of interruption are of interest primarily to the zombifiers of mankind. The bio-robotization will be the death of intelligence. So we have this quote even of smartphones and dumb people, right? It is the death of intelligence, not the birth. The more things become convenient and automated, the less human ingenuity is employed within day-to-day life, the less intelligent we're going to be. We're just going to be more dumbed down. And this goes into even the video that I uploaded recently where I talked about the technique-based society. Everything is robotic. Everything is about production. What I didn't mention in that video is a society which is controlled, or I should say, which has machines as a foundational plank of their civilization. Machines are everywhere. Machine-based production, machine-based phones, machine-based information, AI videos. It has only produced a human civilization where the people are also machine-like as well. The individuality, the uniqueness of people is gone. People are just as cookie cutter as the mass production machines that have ruled us. It's not an accident. We are a product of the civilization that we have formed with our own hands. That's why most people you meet, they're just cookie cutter beliefs, cookie cutter politics, cookie cutter religions. No uniqueness, no nuance. It's because that's an effect of the society that we're in. A person perceives information through his biofield from the entire creation. This ability is interrupted by consent through artificial wombs and egregors of information, so on and so forth. We have talked about the simplistic interruption in your energy field in many shows. You'll be familiar with this concept if you have any awareness of the false reality. Generate an energetic field. These groups or groupings are egregors are classified. Steered what governs it. The energetic or material world as energy. People generate egregors in the same way. Power, forensic energy. And then he goes more into the psychology of groupthink, which I've already elaborated on here. Right here. A person, however, is more complex than a machine, and the possibilities of energetic informational exchange between people are much wider than in any computer network. So they can take one specific thing. So let's say an average human conversation. Hey, how's it going? I'm doing good. How are you doing? Oh, I'm doing fine. They can take that one specific thing and teach an AI to talk kind of like that. But the whole experience of human conversation and all the complexity and nuance and emotional charge and the exchange of bioenergetic information, the ethereal vibes you feel of each other, you can never, ever have that. Again, the whole of human interaction is beyond them. They can only focus in on one specific factor and highlight that and train a robot to do that. But the whole they can never grasp. The technosphere influences the biosphere, but the biosphere is superior to intelligence. Is superior in intelligence. So this is what I was talking about before. The technological society, the technique-based society, it influences us. It influences the biosphere, real living human organisms, but the biosphere is superior in intelligence. In a computer simulation or computer game, there is zombification, which can result in complete absorption of the psyche through the drawing on and engagement of the biofield and through tricking the brain into believing this 3D enclosure which envelops them. It's just a simulation of reality. It isn't reality. It never will be. Even people are now talking about this whole, what is it called? Neuralink or the metaverse. Not even AI. It's artificial, not artificial, what is it, virtual reality. Yeah, that's the thing. You even have people with their PlayStation VR headsets. We're becoming more and more enwrapped in and immersed in an inferior world. And you look at these gaming consoles, you look at the TVs, they're getting more realistic, more surround sound, more immersive. We're getting more and more involved in an inferior world, which is going to bring down our spirit and intelligence, when really we should just put all that away and go and walk outside in the forest and remember God and immerse ourselves in the superior world, not the inferior world made by Satan and his minions. Yeah, and it's a coping mechanism as well. They failed in the real world, these people, so then they instead, yeah, they seek solace in the inferior made up world where they can be whatever they want. This, yeah, and rule over people, be tyrants, whatever. This has been helped by the concept of egregor. The masses, the groupthink is preferable to connection. So, along with depopulation, the biorobotization of the masses through groupthink is preferable to connection to the divinity of the true creator, the uninterrupted unified field where the true information field is. So that's what it is, the robotization, the standardization of mankind. They prefer this over truly helping us connect with our creator, which will give us freedom. This even goes to what Jesus says in the Gospels, ye shall know the truth and it will set you free. What was he talking about there? He was talking about those who connect to God. Once you know God, and God is haqq in the Quran, God is truth. God says he is the truth. And those who know the truth, they will be set free. Any of the artificial womb. So although with the help of technology it is possible to compute the egregors, the one who is aligned with the creation according to God's predetermination is superior. Yep. The one who is aligned with creation, aligned with the natural order, according to God's predetermination, is superior to those disconnected from it or connected to inferior groups. Those who connect to God directly are superior to those who seek the mediation of these man-made systems. This is, of course, a problem with artificial intelligence, or what it really is, autistic intelligence. That's true. Those who believe it is real intelligence. So those who think that artificial intelligence is true knowledge and understanding and consciousness are themselves already biorobots, and they are on the spectrum of autism. For those who have lost, there's actually, spiritually speaking, a retardation that has occurred. For those who have lost control through programming, or those that do not want to use their brain as it was created, the technosphere attracts them. Those who, again, those who don't wish to use their brain and exercise the natural generative ability and inspiration that God has given us, those who have been deadened in that capacity, they are enthralled and attracted to the technosphere, which supplements all their lack of generativeness, their lack of humanity. It attracts the uncreative, the mindless, those out of touch with true reality. Those that are attracted to the technosphere rather than creation are wired in an inferior way to those who can see beyond its inferior status. So those who seek to trap themselves in a virtual world, they are inferior to those who take nature walks. The scientific view and computerized operating system and its programs are vastly inferior and incomparable to a holistic functioning creation. And I recommend you guys just read through this whole article carefully. I only really want to touch on it and kind of highlight the main points, but this is incredibly, astronomically eye-opening. It's almost totally in line with what God has said. God says in the Quran, these people, they can't even create a fly, though they try, or a gnat. God is the originator of creation. Then he repeats it. God is the best of creators. It points to God as the originator and source of everything that's good. And I got to give thanks to Brother Uwais for bringing this article to my attention, and God willing, I'm going to look further into this man's work, and if there's anything else that's worth expanding upon, I definitely will, and I'll share it with you guys. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's really all I got to say on the matter. I hope this talk was a blessing, and yeah, peace to you. Remember, deceit abounds, so keep your eyes wide open. Peace out.